time you need to get them into the stroke center? Within how many hours?
30.
Like 4 or
6. They have 6 hours to get. They have to be, from the time they got an onset of a stroke, they need 6 hours before they can. They need to be inside of a stroke center, right? So I'm not going to go to a trauma center, are they? So when you're telemetry, you're going to tell them you're going to be trying to go to the nearest stroke center. After 6 hours, they say the chances of them doing a full recovery is slim. Under 6 hours, they got a good chance of doing a full recovery and getting things back. Make sense? So this stuff kind of makes sense, what I'm saying. And the way I'm saying it, I hope you like remember it, right? We know our highs and lows, right? Anything too low is bad. Anything too high, we know is bad, correct? And that's the way you got to look at that. Go to the next question. I'm just trying to help you guys kind of remember stuff.
Oh, perfect.
Who knows the mnemonic for decaf BTLS?
Recap. Recap. D is for that.
What's that?
Decap, that's for hey, I got everything else. I cannot think of
All right,
it.
get rid of D. Let's see if you can figure it out.
Deformities.
Deformities,
There you go.
contusion, abrasions, punctures, burns, tenderness, lacerations, and swelling.
And so we said all of those. What category do those two? What category does that fall under?
Trauma.
Trauma. Good job. So we know it's not medical, right?
Right.
So nobody's having a heart attack. We don't have high blood pressure. We don't have a lot of other things, right? They're having a headache. So we know that this is trauma. And that's another thing you guys got to remember, right? Understand the question. Are they asking you a trauma question or are they asking you a medical question? And sometimes you guys will confuse trauma with medicine based on how the question is asked, right? Trauma. What's trauma? Gunshot stab, car accidents, falls, trips, things like that, right? So if they start a question off in a 25-year-old kid fell 15 feet, what's that going to tell me?
Trauma.
Exactly. So I'm going to be thinking what? Trauma. Right. But if they say I have a 60-year-old man complaining of chest pain, what's that going to be?
Medical.
Right.
Respiration.
Right. Now that could change if they say I got a 68-year-old male inside a vehicle, had an accident at 20 miles an hour. What's that going to tell me?
That's
Medical
medical.
and trauma.
Because it's 20. Right.
Correct. But
Was he in an accident?
that's what I said, an accident, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna automatically treat that with trauma, right? Because prior to that, we don't know what his onset is, but we're gonna go trauma into medical. That makes sense. But because we say an accident, it's automatically trauma, and then we will assess based on that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like grandma's been standing around, she hasn't been doing nothing, she all of a sudden feel ill. You know what I'm saying? She's holding her chest. What is that gonna be?
That's medical.
Right. Those are the really two things you gotta remember, right? When you read these questions, you gotta remember, are they asking you trauma questions or are they asking you medical questions? That's the number one way to pass these exams, right? You gotta know these two things. You gotta know. You gotta read what the first part of what they're giving you, where the problem is. That makes sense? So all you gotta know is where the problem is. You know what the problem is, you know what to do. For those of you who are a little confused, right? There's nothing to be confused about, right? Everything that can happen to a person can happen to who? Exactly. So when you think about this, don't read too much into the question. Read more into yourself. You guys all got eyes, ears, nose, tibia, femur, right? Femoral, brachial arteries, right? So when they read the question, put yourself and put your body in that mind. As though it was happening to you. Got it? And trauma should be a breeze. You guys should breeze through trauma. Because most of trauma, you're going to stop the bleed, right? You're going to fix the first problem, right? And that problem is what? And you're fixing that problem because you can what? See it, correct? Any major trauma that we can see, we're going to fix. That goes into them, what?
Decaf
Deep,
BTLS.
exactly. Make sense? So that's how we're gonna fix all of that. We're gonna be able to see it. You know what I'm saying? That's something to dry rate, and that's gonna be considered their what? Chief complaint. You guys seen that before? The chief complaint, right? So we may have a question. You may get into other things you should be doing, but what is the chief complaint? The chief complaint is always what?
What the patient told us to tell.
Correct.
Right.
And if they're talking to us, that means they got what? Good what? A, B, C, right? Airway, breathing, and what?
Circulation.
Correct. Why do we know that? Because we're communicating, right? It's just like mass we got a mass triage, right? And we say, everybody who can stand and walk over here, right? What are we gonna do? Do we need to worry about those patients? Not right now, right? The people who can't get to us is the people we need to worry about. Got it? Those people you can say, sit over here for a moment, everybody take a seat, we're gonna get right to you, right? Now you start going into your traumas. You know what I'm saying? You try to start going to whatever the case is. All right? Let's go to the next question.